Hey guys, Drummer again. Another deck profile. This is a friend of mine's deck. He's actually out right now. He asked me to go ahead and do the profile for him since we're setting up the channel. So I'm going to go through it. I'll do my best. He does a couple weird things that I wouldn't do, but I'll go through it how he's got it. This is a dragon build. So your staple starter is Trip, Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Anybody that knows this deck knows what he does. He just starts recycling like crazy. 2 Red Eyes Wyvern. Once they're in grave, you can start bringing back your Red Eyes Darkness if you need to. The third one we found to be a little inconsistent. 2 Prime. Above all, I would have to say this is the MVP for this, because once you bring back Prime with Red Eyes Darkness and you have at least 1 card in hand, you're safe from any major play they're going to do to try and stop you. 2 White Knight Dragons. White Knight not being able to be targeted by any spells or traps makes him pretty much invulnerable to the standard stop, unless they're going to go ahead and drop their big ones like Torrential, Mirror Force, or Dark Hole. And being able to be recycled off of Red Eyes as a 3000 beater is pretty crazy. Trip Mass Dragon. This is the speed of the deck. When you open up with one and really nothing else, you just go ahead and set it, let it get run over, start cycling through until you're ready to make your play. Trip Totem Dragon. Once Totem's in grave, he's your single-use Treeborn to allow you to sack for anything you want. He's just consistent at 3. We thought about 2 because this build doesn't utilize Lad, but 2 just wasn't consistent enough, so we went ahead and took the 3. 1 Dread and 1 Delta Flyer. These are our 2 tuners of the deck. Dread, more times than not, gets set and then used to go search out a Mass Dragon for a little bit of continued stall. Delta's the big tuner for going ahead and making himself 4 and then syncering into either Stardust or Scrap. Tech Blizzard Dragon. We needed 1 more, and we liked what Blizzard can do with stopping battle position change and not allowing a monster to attack. It's sort of like an acting side blocker for a monster that's on the field from being able to use itself. So Blizzard tends to put kinks in plays. And our final monsters of the deck are 2 Mirage Dragons. 1600's not bad, 4-star. We can summon them for just cuz. And so long as they're active, your opponent, or nobody, can activate, not just your opponent, can't activate traps during the battle phase. So there is no Call the Haunted to go protect themselves, there's no D-Prisons, there's no Mirror Forces. Unless they're sitting on books, there's really nothing they can do. So once you have your field out, you just go ahead and use Red Eyes to drop a Mirage Dragon and go to your battle phase, and it's going to be game over. Spells, Future Fusion. This allows us to start moving through the deck. Typically what we'll do is drop both Wyverns, a Red Eyes, and 2 of the Totem Dragons. So these are there to be brought back once we need them to be. During that end phase, we can go ahead and remove 1 Wyvern to bring out the Red Eyes Metal, and then the other Wyvern will be sitting in grave as a reborn for whenever it's needed later in the match. Staple, Reborn, just because, yeah, it's Monster Reborn. Giant Trunade. We don't run Cold Wave in this build, since we utilize quite a backfield of our own. So this is our setup for game. Dark Hole, staple. And here's our backfield control. Double MST and double Stamping Destruction. Stamping's fun because it also burns a little bit when it hits. So if we can pop off their warnings or their oppression or whatever they have set before we go ahead and make our play, with 4, we're almost always controlling the backfield. Traps, we've got Judgment, speaks for itself. Double Bottomless for a little bit of monster control. Call the Haunted typically will be there to bring back a Red Eyes once he's already back in grave if there's no Wyverns present, or we don't want to use the Wyvern yet, so that we can continue to combo off. A 7 tools, with warning being huge. If we can go ahead and let you pay 2,000, we'll pay 1,000 to stop that all day long. Torrential Tribute, staple. Mirror Force, staple. Double D Prison. Again, control. This deck is revolved around huge monsters, so we're safe most of the time, but just in case you happen to be able to do something, take Dragoinities with Gabolg, and they just drop a Dux on it and he jumps up to 35. We got to be able to stop that. So we'll go ahead and deprison before he has the chance to. And the final 3 cards of the deck is sort of an interesting deck, but the more we play test it, the more it's probably one of my most broken cards this format, is Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain is like Effect Veiler on crack. You go to, say they drop Brio and want to bounce your field, so they ditch 2 or 3 at once. You chain Fiendish Chain, the effect becomes negated, and that monster can't attack anymore. So they've paid their cost, and now they're getting nothing for it. And being that the effects are negated, this stops continuous as well. So Ryo's on the field, they Fiendish Ryo. You can still search. They will be able to tribute the Ryo. It's similar, think like Skill Drain Plants with Lone Fire. Effects that activate in Grave, Fiendish won't stop. So it's not going to stop a Stardust either. But for most other things, be it Scrap Dragons, a Goyo from stealing something on our field, Brio, whatever, or is just defense. You don't want me to run over that set Mass Dragon that we've got yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and Fiendish, and now you're sitting there not attacking me. So it's very defensive. I hate the card because it's the only reason he can ever really beat me. Onto his side deck. He goes with 1 Starlight Road. He likes double Chivalry, because Glads, for some reason, tend to be one of his toughest matchups with this deck. So he goes into double Chivalry just to say, hell no Glads. Double Kokemaru Drago for any of the Lightsworn decks that are starting to come back around, anything dark related. Once we've comboed out, we just go ahead and drop Koke, and now we're safe. 2 Noblemans for whatever, Rykos, Hamsters, Spies, you name it. 2 Exploder Dragons. I don't know why he texts this, just if he feels like he needs a little more destruction presence while he's trying to stall to make his play against a certain deck. He'll go into the Exploders. And the Fiendish 2, his final 2 are Crevice into a Different Dimension. With 6 Sams being a lot of Earth, you've got Sabers that are all Earth. Dragoinities come March, or Wind. Crevice allows him to get into their graveyards and stop their plays when he wants to. As for his extra deck, for the Future Fusion, we have a 5-God. We've got Android, Cataster, Iron Chain, Goyo, Brio, Fairy, Black Rose, Scrap, Startard, Thought Ruler, and a Trident Dragon, because there is nothing that can piss people off more than, we have 7 tools or Solemn Judgment set, and we go into Trident and pop off 2 extra things that we spammed on the field and run over your face for 9,000 at once. You don't get it off too often, but when you do, you feel absolutely amazing for it. So this is our Dragon deck profile right now, and hope you guys enjoy. Rate, comment, subscribe, and thanks.